Why should people spend money, leave their work, travel to as far as rural areas, and sacrifice their efforts to vote in a bid to change the regime, or rather in their quest to exercise their right to vote? If after elections, the rigging is our new currency in the 20th century. Welcome to the Bold Analysis. My name is Kevin Oduor. Raila Odinga must by all means make sure that at the center of everything, the question of the server audit should not be dropped. If all these dossiers that are being released is something to go by, the public is consuming. And while comfortably you can say that there is no legal recourse to claim his victory, but from what the public is consuming, they are already tired and dissuaded from even participating in the next general election. I'm speaking about a breakdown that has been given out by civil society organization today in explaining, or rather breaking down regions by regions. And of course the video is long, it's an 18-minute video, and I've just picked this part. In terms of the regional spaces, how Raila Odinga's votes allegedly were stolen, or rather deducted from him and added to the opponent. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't encourage any further. Look at that. I want you to listen, watch that. When we come back, I'm going to do, after this video, I'm going to do a very good outlook of this.
Now, when you look at the regional values, you note that at the end, IBC awarded Jacob 649,000 votes and awarded Dr. Ruto 336,000 votes. That is the official result from the IBC portal. But when we look at the other result that the ED gave me, it resulted that Jacob was to have 651 and Ruto to have 334, meaning he lost 1,950 votes and Ruto gained 1,950 votes in Coast region in total. Then when we come to Northeastern region, I'll show you again here that now IBC awarded Jacob 352,000 votes and awarded Dr. Ruto 196,000 votes. But in our analysis on the other side, it gave Jacob 374,000 votes and Dr. Ruto 174, meaning 22,000 votes were taken from Jacob and Dr. Ruto added 21,000 votes. You may think these are the so-called hot air, but I will show you where they come from. Now, when we come to Upper Eastern, the IBC awarded Jacob 149,000 votes. And Dr. Ruto was given, and Dr. Ruto was to get 648,000 votes. Now, here the deductions go higher, and now he's losing 83,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto is gaining 83,000 votes. Lower Eastern, we note that here, IBC portal gave Jacob 769,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto was given 250,000 votes. This looks clear. But you see, when we look at what we added on the other side, we have 770,000 votes and 245. That means in the lower eastern, Jacom lost only 1,400 votes. And then Dr. Ruto gained 5,100 votes. Now, we come to Central Province. Now in Central Province, we have against Dr. Ruto's 1.6 million votes, while when we add onto the other side, Jacom should be having 1.027 million votes and Dr. million votes. I will show you where they all came from. And here he lost a total of 604,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto gained 615,000 votes from Central Province. And we decided to settle here a little bit and say that it's common knowledge that a sitting president was coming from Central Province, and he was on this other side. So it's possible that there was a sharing of 50-50 votes in Central Province. And given that this data is almost reflecting that, I think a 50-50 is a fair game in Central Province, knowing the people, how vibrant they are in that place. Then we come to Rift Valley, which is the largest voting bloc. And here, IBC comfortably gave Jacom 1.1 million votes from Bomas. And Dr. Ruto was given 2.666 million votes from Bomas. And our addition from Rift Valley gave Jacom 1.4 million votes, and Dr. Ruto 2.3 million votes. Looking at it, 1.1 and 1.4 in a voting block of the whole of Rift Valley is not far from the truth. It's true that you can see that it's possible that the 1.4 was highly attainable, because we should have seen what we were seeing in Central, in Rift Valley, because in Central it was 400,000 votes only, and in Rift Valley he has 1.1 million votes. And this other system is not exaggerating. It is giving 1.4, so we can see that he lost 300 available, and that is why we only work with what was there. So looking at it carefully, you will note that in the end, His Excellency the Prime Minister lost 1.182 million votes, and Ruto was awarded 1.2 million votes nationally. And in that, now, if you add all these data values and all this, you're going to have 8.112.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a breakdown of the 8.1 million. And I have understood that from what that organization have shared, they're actually sharing a bit of something, that a data that is in concurrence with the whistleblower report that released an 8.1 lead on Raila Odinga. For the first time, the gap between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, according to Afula Chebukati, was around 200 and something thousand votes. Let me tell you guys, I don't think William Ruto had a euphoria. That's what I can say. I don't think he had a euphoria. And I've always been doubted, even if that of Uhuru Kenyatta was a bit of rigging, you could see the humira bit of it. But this one is one that someone was saying that if things happened, there is a high likelihood. Najua, it is a bit comfortable to say it's too late, what can you do? But again, the truth is, something is very suspicious. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. I want to make my 6 outlooks of this. It is about time the Electoral Commission is held accountable and responsible to counter these data. Whether it is going to be through an inquiry, that in a bipartisan inquiry, instead of such a bipartisan talks, we should take a bipartisan inquiry to make the commission to counter these claims, and it should be on data. You know, this is already countering what the commission said, according to them, is their data. But from what you can see here, through an inquiry, it should be formed and investigated. And in fact, I believe the commission is a bit inactive, but the secretariat is working. Can they come out and give us a response? What is their position on this matter? I don't think it's late. It doesn't change anything. We are expecting a press release from them. Can they come out and trust? They've never accepted or denied. It's because they are cornered that the only thing that can counter this report is the data from server. Lakini jamani, hii ilibwa. I don't know. Kenyans and our viewers, until we end winner takes all in our election, rigging is going to be the scheme, the currency. Let me repeat, until we make our elections not be about the president and the ruling party and the president's friends and relatives, until we make that not be the nature of our governance, everything is not going to stop. I want you to look at the kind of fallout between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. You'll go to that election where you are told, and in fact, let's say it, there were even rumors that if Raila was to become president, William Ruto was going to be arrested and would be sent somewhere in jail over corruption cases and all those cases that have been about him. By all means, William Ruto had to be the president somehow to survive. We made that even on the other side of Azimio la Umoja, unless Raila Odinga was going to be the president, members of Uhuru's cabinet and Uhuru's friends and even Uhuru Kenyatta himself was going to be a man under soup, hot soup. That's again the situation. Everything is now about Uhuru Kenyatta. Until we must solve winner takes all. It is until that time, so that we reduce the pressure, the appetite for election rigging. If still our elections is winner take all, I am not going to be shocked if at Ruto transition, at Ruto succession, he will still be the wheel. That's it. That is clearly what it is. We should. We postponed it in 2022, but I think in 2017, but in 2017, we identified the virus. We have an opportunity now to fix that mess. I don't know what is the solution. That one I leave to the political class, but from where I'm seated, we must get it right. Number 3. A commission should always serve one term. I want to believe, number 1, and go home. But we should get legislation that can institute punitive, a very harsh punishment for electoral officials who will abet such a crime. You know, at Cherera 4, we demonized Chereras for having called a contrary, or for having a contrary opinion with the chairman. And immediately they resigned. The story ended there. Before that, Wafula Chebukati also retired. Now all this goes back to them. So nothing has been done to them. Even no inquiry. There is no, and I know that the state has made it, and in fact, we should not make the, you know, the inquiry about an election should not be domiciled within the presidential powers. And that's why I agree with Raila Odinga team that we must go by partisan rule. We must go outside parliament, because how will president allow the team to make an inquiry on IBC? No. But if it is outside, such an inquiry should be done. If someone commits an election crime, we should punish, so that those who are going to be employed again in such commission, personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. We must get it right. Otherwise, I'm telling you, we are in a big mess, because we don't mean well for it. In this country, in the 2010 constitution, we wanted to cure election skirmishes after 2007, and we came up with Supreme Court. You know, in 2007 we didn't have a Supreme Court, so there was no court even to arbitrate presidential results. And the framers of the constitution decided that the Supreme Court is going to be the highest court and the last nail in the presidential contest, or rather in the presidential petition. The rationale behind this was to make sure that we create a legal framework so that an election petition would not find its way in the public opinion. That's what happened in 2007. If we could have a Supreme Court petition, maybe it would have gone there. We didn't have a Supreme Court. And so we created it, and that was to help us cure what would be election skirmishes, post-election skirmishes, and give us stability. 12 years down the line, after 3 presidential petitions, 1 thrown away, 1 successfully thrown away, and 2 wins of upheld. Is it wrong to question and to ask ourselves this question? Is it about a temporary stability that we are getting because we have a court to take our court, or is it successfully, does it successfully arbitrate election petition on merit? This is what I'm saying. Do the Supreme Court have the Supreme Court move, or rather the Supreme Court door, has it just given us a door, or rather a room, to avoid election skirmishes immediately after election, or it has successfully helped us arbitrate elections, especially on merit? We must ask ourselves that question. Is it, now that it's the last stop, and after it nothing else, because there is no legal recourse, are we really right to 15 million votes are decided and audited within 14 days, and one of the witnesses, or one of the defendants of those results, is actually the owner of the results, which is the commission? When a petitioner goes to Supreme Court, one of the complainants, petitioner is the complainant. So the 2 accused is the commission and the opposite, which is the winner. Don't you think that the Supreme Court, now that it gave us successful for the last 3, yes, it has contained, because for the last 3 elections, we've not had post-election skirmishes. But moving by the way things are going, are we really in the right track? Does Supreme Court have the capacity to identify, to audit, to investigate whether the votes that have, the results that have been announced actually are the real results? Do they have? Or they depend on what a lawyer from the commission and the lawyer from the winning side is going to say? What am I saying? Time is short. The jurisprudence of Supreme Court to arbitrate election petition is exaggerated. I don't think. We must get another one. Lastly, until we must decolonize ourselves and reduce the amount of international interests in the African soil. Because of that international interest, we are actually selling our democracy. There is a barter trade between our democracy and the European interest. An election rigging is electronic, and because everything voting is electronic, but the vote itself, the process of accountability of counting the vote and tallying is electronic, that's where the devil lies. We have a problem. We may never fix it because, again, international interest might not reduce. My position is clear. Rigging is not going to stop. Electronic voting was supposed to heal us from 2017, where 2007, where it was about ballot stuffing. But as the world evolves and elections all over, rigging is taking different shapes and different angles. If we cannot be brave enough and face the reality as a nation to embrace a looming electoral revolution, the system gonna be recycled. In the last general election, those who turned out to vote were 14 million out of 22. In the next general election will have no meaning. And my cue, maybe 6 million or 5. From those who believe that they're shareholders of the company. Thank you for watching.